બધું છે ઓલરેડી સર.
બધું ચાલુ બધું પહેલાંની જેમ જ કરીએ છીએ.
કશો ફરક નથી.
આ બધા માઇક્રોફોન બરાબર ચાલે છે કે વચ્ચે એકવાર મહિના પહેલા હું ને કુમાર આવીને બધા
તમે કર્યા પછી that's it.
બધું નંબર બી બધા જો આમ લાઈન સર સેટ કરેલા છે.
That's very nice. You helped quite a bit, you know.
મેં કીધું નંબર બી ગમે ચાલે પણ આવે ને તો
છે ને આ પોડિયમ છે ના કરો મેં કહ્યું.
અચ્છા એ તો વાયર્ડ હશે ને કે
શું પોડિયમ વાયર્ડ છે અને ગરમ કરું. હરિઓમ. Yeah, we're going to do that. We have the guy here today. So બહારનો એટલે નથી ચાલતો પેલો વિડીયો.
કયો બહારનો એટલે ફ્રન્ટનો? અચ્છા વિડીયો નથી.
I think the connection is going from here, right? I think it's
બુકમાં મેં ડાયાગ્રામ લખેલો છે.
નમઃ શિવાય નમઃ શિવાય હર હર ભોલે નમઃ શિવાય નમઃ શિવાય નમઃ શિવાય હર હર ભોલે નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય નમઃ રામેશ્વરાય શિવ રામેશ્વરાય હર હર ભોલે નમઃ શિવાય 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 ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય હર હર ભોલે નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય હર હર ભોલે નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય હર હર ભોલે નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય હર હર ભોલે નમઃ શિવાય ગંગાધરાય શિવ ગંગાધરાય 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 હર હર ભોલે નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય ઓમ નમઃ શિવાય હર હર ભોલે નમઃ શિવાય नमः शिवाय, हर हर भोले नमः शिवाय। विश्वेश्वराय शिव विश्वेश्वराय, हर हर भोले नमः शिवाय। विश्वेश्वराय शिव विश्वेश्वराय, हर हर भोले नमः शिवाय। विश्वेश्वराय शिव विश्वेश्वराय, हर हर भोले नमः शिवाय।
लगता है ये पैर जम गया है।
I know. I know. Actually, today was so. It was hard.
I mean, I don't mind.
Yeah, yeah.
There is some
So,
regularity, है ना?
Auntie was saying that don't leave the bhajan. I say beach mein. I said nahi. Other day it was a problem because we were
हाँ,
not
this
sure.
is 5 minutes. That's why.
Okay.
पर ये ठीक है ना? 5 minutes
What
perfect
time?
है।
What time should I start?
अभी। हरि ओम।
प्रार्थना पीयूष पेज नंबर 107। पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो,
पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो।
वस्तु अमोलिक दी मेरे सतगुरु,
वस्तु अमोलिक दी मेरे सतगुरु।
कृपा कर अपनायो, पायो जी मैंने
कृपा कर अपनायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो।
जन्म जन्म की पूंजी पाई,
जन्म जन्म की पूंजी पाई।
जग में सभी खोवायो, पायो जी मैंने
जग में सब ही खोवायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो।
पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो,
पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो।
खर्ची न खूटे वाको चोर न लूटे,
खर्चे न खूटे वाको चोर न लूटे।
खर्ची न खूटे वाको चोर न लूटे,
खर्चे न खूटे वाको चोर न लूटे।
दिन दिन पढ़त सवायो, पायो जी मैंने
राम रतन धन पायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो।
सत की नाव खेवटिया सतगुरु,
सत की नाव खेवटिया सतगुरु।
सत की नाव खेवटिया सतगुरु,
सत की नाव खेवटिया सतगुरु।
भव सागर तर आयो, पायो जी मैंने
भव सागर तर आयो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो।
पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो,
पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो।
मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर,
मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर
मीरा के प्रभु, मीरा के प्रभु, मीरा के प्रभु, मीरा के प्रभु, मीरा
के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर,
मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर, हर्ष हर्ष जस गायो पायो जी मैंने,
हरख हरख जश गायो पायो जी मैंने, राम रतन धन पायो,
पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो,
पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो,
पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो.
Page 25. Let's all chant Ramastuti. नमामि भक्तवत्सलं कृपालुशीलकोमलं,
नमामि भक्तवत्सलं कृपालुशीलकोमलं,
भजामि ते पदाम्बुजं मकामिनां स्वदामदं,
भजामि ते पदाम्बुजं मकामिनां स्वधामदं,
निकामशाम सुन्दरं भवाम्बुनाथ मन्दरं,
निकामश्याम सुन्दरं भवाम्बुनाथ मन्दरं,
प्रफुल्लकञ्जलोचनं मदादिदोषमोचनं,
प्रफुल्लकञ्जलोचनं मदादिदोषमोचनं,
प्रलम्बबाहुविक्रमं प्रभो प्रमेयवैभवं,
प्रलम्बबाहुविक्रमं प्रभो प्रमेयवैभवं,
निषङ्गचापसायकं धरं त्रिलोकनायकं,
निषङ्गचापसायकं धरं त्रिलोकनायकं,
दिनेशवंशमण्डनं महेशचापखण्डनं,
दिनेशवंशमण्डनं महेशचापखण्डनं,
मुनीन्द्रसन्तरञ्जनं सुरारिवृन्दभञ्जनं,
मुनीन्द्रसन्तरञ्जनं सुरारिवृन्दभञ्जनं,
मनोजवैरिवन्दितम् अजादिदेवसेवितं,
मनोजवैरिवन्दितम् अजादिदेवसेवितं,
विशुद्धबोधविग्रहं समस्तदूषणापहं,
विशुद्धबोधविग्रहं समस्तदूषणापहं,
नमामि इन्दिरापतिं सुखाकरं सतां गतिं,
नमामि इन्दिरापतिं सुखाकरं सतां गतिं,
भजे सशक्तिसानुजं शचीपतिप्रियानुजं,
भजे सशक्तिसानुजं शचीपतिप्रियानुजं,
त्वदङ्घ्रिमूलये नरः भजन्ति हीनमत्सरः,
त्वदङ्घ्रिमूलये नरः भजन्ति हीनमत्सरः,
पतन्ति नो भवार्णवे वितर्कवीचिसङ्कुले,
पतन्ति नो भवार्णवे वितर्कवीचिसङ्कुले,
विविक्तवासिनः सदा भजन्ति मुक्तये मुदा,
विविक्तवासिनः सदा भजन्ति मुक्तये मुदा,
निरस्य इन्द्रियादिकं प्रयान्ति ते गतिं स्वकम्,
निरस्य इन्द्रियादिकं प्रयान्ति ते गतिं स्वकम्,
त्वमेकमद्भुतं प्रभुं निरीहमीश्वरं विभुं,
त्वमेकमद्भुतं प्रभुं निरीहमीश्वरं विभुं,
जगद्गुरुं च शाश्वतं तुरीयमेव केवलम्,
जगद्गुरुं च शाश्वतं तुरीयमेव केवलम्,
भजामि भाववल्लभं कुयोगिनां सुदुर्लभम्, दुर्लभम्
भजामि भाववल्लभं कुयोगिनं सुदुर्लभम्
स्वभक्तकल्पपादपं समं सुसेव्यमन्वहम्
स्वभक्तकल्पपादपं समं सुसेव्यमन्वहम्
अनूपरूपभूपतिं नतोऽहमुर्विजापतिम्
अनूपरूपभूपतिं नतोऽहमुर्विजापतिं
प्रसीद मे नमामि ते पदाब्जभक्ति देहि मे
प्रसीद मे नमामि ते पदाब्जभक्ति देहि मे
पठन्ति ये स्तवम् इदं नरादरेण ते पदम्
पठन्ति ये स्तवमिदं नरादरेण ते पदम्
व्रजन्ति नात्र संशयं त्वदीयभक्तिसंयुताः
व्रजन्ति नात्र संशयं त्वदीयभक्तिसंयुता ॐ न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागे नैके अमृतत्वमानशुः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते यद्यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्तविज्ञानसुनिश्चितार्थात् सन्न्यासयोगात्यतयच्छुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके तु परान्तकाले परामृता परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे दहरं विपापं परमेश्मभूतं यत्पुण्डरीकं पुरमध्यस्थगस्थं तत्रापि दहरं गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपासितव्यम् यो वेदादौ स्वरप्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिलीनस्य यः परः स महेश्वरः न तत्र सूर्यो भान्ति न चन्द्रतारकं नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति.
We stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. We serve as an army, courageous and disciplined, ever ready to fight against all low tendencies and false values within and without us. We live honestly, the noble life of sacrifice and service, producing more than what we consume and giving more than what we take. We seek the Lord's grace to keep us on the path of virtue, courage, and wisdom. May thy grace and blessings flow through us to the world around us. We believe that the service of our country is the service of the Lord of Lords, and devotion to the people is the devotion to the Supreme Self. We know our responsibilities. Give us the ability and courage to fulfill them. Om Tat Sat.
Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. 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 Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha.
Hari Om. I don't have much in the way of announcements today, and that's good because that gives us more time to listen to and absorb Puja Uncle's pravachan. I do hope that you all read the e-announcements, weekly e-announcement though, Although the first two items are more or less constant, we add, delete from the 3 items onwards. For example, did you read about the first announcement about the 12th grade Bal Vihar graduation, which is on May 15th? So May looks very busy. We have Gita chanting competition, practices are going on well, followed by Janma Jayanti celebration, Gurudev's Janma Jayanti, followed by Bal Vihar graduation, and then we are going to have the last day of Bal Vihar. More details next time. Thank you. Hari Om.
Yena characharam tatpadam darshitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Guru Deva Deva
Vastam Devam
Sachanbhuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam
Krishnam Vande
Jagadguru
Om Sahana
Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai
Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Chant the first 3 slokas in Jatinbhai.
Karturagya. Starting from Karturagya or?
Yeah, first 3. Karturagnya.
Karturagnaya Prapyate Phalam Karma Kim Param Karma Tajjadam Kruti Mahodhadau Patana Karanam Parama Shashvatam Gati Nirodhakam Ishwararpitam Nichayakritam Chitta Shodhakam Mukti Sadhakam.
Some of us found it little difficult to follow last week's pravachan. So what I thought I would just summarize how we got to the point where we are. So it will be a revision and those who understand it very well, it may be repetition, but there is nothing wrong. And I think तुम लोग का थोड़ा जो आम था वो तुम्हारी डोकी ने जरा manually करो. See, as a child comes into the world, he doesn't know anything. But he does know when he's comfortable and when he's not comfortable. He may not know what comfort is, but if his ears are hurting, the child would cry. Parents have to figure out that something is wrong with the ears when the baby is little and try to get it fixed. as the child grows, and when child, like everyone has a desire, and generally what happens, right? When the child is little and doesn't want to speak, mom will say, daddy comes from what? Say dada, and child. And they would prod him to speak. 2 years goes by, the child starts speaking. Now what does mother say? Chup, I'm talking, don't you know? I mean, this is a story in everybody's life, in everybody's home, right? So when you do that, what happens? The child becomes unhappy. Now for physical discomfort, we can go to the doctor or just follow normal things and we can try to fix it. And once the body is okay, we don't do anything. It's only when the body goes out of normalcy, when I don't feel comfortable, or as you grow up, the doctor says everything looks good, but the blood analysis says something is wrong, and we find out, and we try to correct it. But generally, as long as the body is concerned, ignorance is bliss is applicable very much until you find out, right? So when somebody says, how are you? Right? Now, cancer may be at the fourth or fifth, I don't know, very high, but I can say very well, right? Because I am not feeling any discomfort, and as long as I am comfortable, I do not do anything unless I find out. But when it comes to mind, right from childhood, at every stage, whenever I feel discomfort, and when do I feel discomfort? When I'm asked to do something and I do not want to do it, or circumstances that are there which I don't like and I want to get out of it, or when I want something, in other words, I want to have circumstances that are conducive, and I go on making effort so that it will be conducive to my vasana, and I will be happy. And every one of us have found what? Right? The world has many things, but desirable things, desirable situations are always few, and desirers are many, isn't it? This is just the way life is, right? How many people want to come to America from India? Desirers are many. How many get the visa? House on a mountain, right? House or a condominium in Galveston, Marine Drive in Mumbai. Not everybody can have it, right? So, not all my desires are getting fulfilled. And when desires are not fulfilled, it is human to feel uncomfortable. I am not very happy. In other words, mind is restless. Now, if this basis is understood, Bhagwan Raman Maharshi is addressing the entire book for you and I, how to quieten the mind, and then he will take us into the last 15 slokas, where the Jnana Yoga path, which is little difficult, he will come up with a solution that will surprise each and every one of us. But he begins with the very fundamental thing that I have a desire, and he says you and I make efforts. And soon you and I discover what? That the result does not always come the way I want, as we have seen it in detail. And when man starts thinking, he realizes that results are not in my hand. There is some unknown factor, call him X, Y, Z, or Bhagwan, or whatever, or Om, and that appears to control the fruits of my action. And once he begins to appreciate this, what does he do? He says, all that is left to me is Ishwararpitam na Ichchaya Kritam. I know my responsibilities as a family person, as a member in the society, as a member in the country, and what my responsibilities are, right? We know our responsibilities. Give us the ability and courage to fulfill them, right? So he makes every effort to fulfill. what is right. But while doing that, what happens? Because now he is appreciating that results are not in my hand, he accepts a third factor and bows down or accepts that whatever you give, I will have to accept. This is called prasada buddhi, as we have seen. So now think of it. When I fight with what I get, all I get is disturbance in my mind. And nobody is happy with the stresses. This is what we call stress and strain. But when I accept something like, when I go to the hospital, and because I have fallen down, and the doctor, put the bandage and all that thing, and he says, you will have to stay here only 24 hours. But during these 24 hours, your leg will have to be kept at this angle, so the haddi, the bone will set, and tomorrow you can go home. Now, obviously, I'm not happy about that condition. Right? But I accept it because I know it is for my good. Thus, the individual begins to appreciate that this power that is there, that I don't know which it is, but if this is what he gives, I will accept it. And when he accepts it, what happens? The mind and intellect becomes quiet. And when the mind and intellect is quiet, we all feel good. And what do we want? We want comfort. Right? We do not know the word stress, strain when we are little. It's only something we pick up as we get older. But basically, when there is pressure on the mind, when things are not going my way, I'm not comfortable. In other words, I am under stress. Then Bhagavan, beginning sloka number 4 through 9, he gives Bhakti Yoga. Because each one of us has different personality. Some want to work, karma becomes there. There is the pradhana personality, main personality in their character. Others are emotional and devotional. And they say, look, if this Bhagwan is the one who gives the fruit, then I want to worship him. I want to ask him, Bhagwan, please do something so that I'll be happy, etc. So Bhagwan says, if that is your nature, Bhagwan meaning Bhagwan Raman Maharshi, then he says, Pujanam Japas Chintanam Krama. In other words, starts with puja because it is pratyaksha. The murti is in front of you. You develop relationship with the murti and you treat it is not a murti for the one who has relationship. It is Sakshat Bhagwan. The third factor, the one who gives the result, is in front of me. I have invoked him as a representative. So I offer him fruits, etc. The relationship is built, and what happens? Hey Bhagwan, whatever you give, I will accept. But because you are my Bhagwan, I will tell you all that I need. And I will ask you that please give me this. So puja, then japa and chintanam. As one advances, again the objective is what? Through puja, I said, now all my stresses and strain I have given to you. Then japa, meaning as we have seen this in detail, sajatiya vritti prava. So as I continue this, mind becomes quiet with the same thought, mind gets absorbed, and I begin to appreciate, I begin to experience the silence between two successive thoughts, right? Pujanam japas, chintanam krama, and the japa also, uttamastava, aduchamandata, chitta jam japa, leading all the way to dhyana. And then Bhagwan says, having a bhakti of me and you, right? The best bhakti is where there is soham, where you and I are one, rather than the duality. And the Bhagwan says that is the Uttam Bhakti. In other words, I, the wave, who took myself to be the form and the name, I always treated ocean as someone other. And I kept praying, hey ocean, please save me from the other waves and this. But now I realize that, hey, I am an integral part of you, ocean. I am not different from you. Neither am I different from other waves. All waves are nothing but form and name. And essentially, we are all water. So there is no duality. And thus, the mind becomes quieter because the one understands that this is all he alone is soham. And this Bhagwan says in sloka number 10, you want to chant please? Jai Ganesh.
Vristale mana swasthata kriya. Vristale mana swasthata kriya. Bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam.
Ruchstale mana swasthata kriya.
Bhakti
yoga
yoga bodhascha
nishchitam. Ruchstale mana swasthata kriya.
Bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam.
I don't know if you all feel like me, but I always feel like chanting because the tune is so beautiful rather than just stopping after chanting it one time. It's just such a nice tune. So Bhagavan says, Rutstale manah swasthata kriya. Remember I said when the child is born, physically everybody wants to be swastha, and when I'm comfortable, I'm happy because that is my natural state. Similarly, we all want to be comfortable at mental level. You and I feel a tremendous release when there are no stresses in mind. And that is why there is no one seated here who does not like to go to sleep. Right? When we go to sleep, what happens? Remember, we are completely released from the hold of your mind. Mind is the source, continuous. I want this, I don't want this, and it keeps us going and it keeps us under stress. So Bhagavan says, Rutstale manaha. This mind, Rutstale in the Lord. Rutstale mana swastha. Swa, meaning in me. Stha, steady in me. Normally your mind and my mind is where? Right. I wonder, gas prices are up. As soon as the the chips are available, electrical cars become available and the prices go down, but government still gives me that incentive of 6,000. I want to buy that car. That's why, not Rutstale, Tesla Sthale Manaha. See, this is our condition at all the time. And as soon as that is there, what happens? I plus I want. Whether it is pravrutti, engagement positive, or nivrutti, getting away from a solution, right? Getting rid of my gas guzzler and getting an electric car, right? Get out of one thing, get into one thing. As long as the desire is there, mind is called not rutstale, but desire stale. Bhagavan says, when the mind is rutstale, it is called swa, in yourself stha. Just like at night when I have withdrawn and in deep sleep, the only difference is there I am totally ignorant. I am still, taking a nap or I am sleeping in the lap of Narayan alone. But I am ignorant, I don't know anything. So, but that time I feel total release. And this is the kind of mind you and I want. No one says I want stresses, everybody wants that. So Bhagavan says, Rutstale mana swastata. And how do you get that? Kriya, the first 3 sloka that we chanted. Then 4 through 9, Bhakti Yoga, Kriya, Bhakti, Yoga, what we have been seeing from 11 through 16, which we'll see the couple more. So Bhakti, and then he says, Bhakti Yoga and Bodh, Jnana Marga, Nishchitam. He says this. So now what does this Dhyana Yoga or what is known as Raja Yoga, Patanjali Yoga, what does that mean? It it directly deals with our breathing, etc. Just to quieten the mind. Okay? As I said, some people it's a little difficult for them to understand about this Anatmani, Atma Buddhi, etc. So I want to just recap the whole thing so it becomes a little easier, So Bhagavan says first, right? Let me just chant when my throat is down. You chant because I enjoy it. Okay. Vayurodhanat liyate mana.
Vayurodhanat liyate mana.
Jalapakshivat rodha sadhanam.
Jalapakshivat rodha sadhanam.
Chittavayavas Chitkriyayuta
Chittavayavas Chitkriyayutah
Sakhayordvai Shakti Mulaka.
Shakhayordvai Shakti Mulaka.
So Bhagavan says, mechanically, how can you quieten your mind? Because remember, we have established that when physically I am comfortable and when the mind is comfortable, meaning when there are no agitations, I am happy. That is my natural state, swastha, and I want that. So he says, if the mind is not swastha, if it is not quiet and is giving you trouble, he says, Vayu Rodhanat Liyate Mana. And all those who are employed, right? You have seen it, right? At customer service in America, in any capitalistic society, what is it? Customer is always right. However wrong he is right. So every now and then we see it, right? The person on the other side of the counter or on the phone, etc., talking to the customer, and he's extremely nice. But as soon as he or she hangs up or the customer goes, right? And the person next to him or her says what? Hey, listen, this happens, take a deep breath, right? 3-4 breath and you will be all right. Now what is happening? Remember, it is no different than what our parents did to us and we did to our children when our children were little. You have something that is important, either it will break or the other person wants it, and parents want to take it away from us. And what do? If they take it away, we'll cry. They will either dangle something more interesting or say, hey, look. And we look and they take that away. The same principle. I'm raging mad at that customer. And the attention is where? Not on the customer, on the breath. Few seconds go by and mind. And try it. When the lust suddenly rises, or anger rises, jealousy rises, we generally roll a red carpet and keep thinking of that, and the jealousy intensifies. Instead, at that time, catch hold of yourself. This is the grossest way to quieten the mind. So Bhagavan says, Vayu Rodhana Liyate Mana. Unfortunately, no, let us first finish. Yeah, he says, Jalap, as soon as you stop that, what happens? Those thoughts that you were trying to settle, get rid of, again they come back. And now with a vengeance. He says, why is that? How come that when I control my breath, mind becomes quiet? So Bhagavan says, Chitta Vayavas Chitkriyayuta Sakhayordvai Shakti Mulaka. Mind and Vayu. Chitta, Antakaran, mind and Vayu, the breathing. Chit Kriyayuta, they are both endowed with consciousness, right? Only a conscious person, a live person can think. So they are both, and he can breathe. So they are blessed with consciousness as well as with Kriya. What are the Kriya? Mind has two Kriyas, Ichha Shakti and Jnana Shakti. Ichha Shakti meaning ability to desire. Mind has the power to desire and mind has the power to know. Desire comes after knowledge. Please understand. You always come to know something and then there is a desire for it. Because if I don't know, naturally there is no desire. Then these both are also Shakti. And breathing also is what? Right? Once you breathe the power, even when you want to lift something little heavy, or those who go to gym, right? And you hold the breath, meaning what? That is Shakti. Both are what? Chitta Vayavas, Chitkriyayuta, Sakhayordvai. They are two shakhas, two branches, Shakti Mulaka. Meaning Maya Shakti Mul. The base is nothing but Shakti, Maya Shakti, Bhagavan's Maya Shakti. These are the two branches. One is grosser, other is subtler. And as we saw, if a tree has two branches and if the mangoes are on the above branch, you catch hold of the lower branch and pull it. the upper branch also comes down and you can get the mango. In the same way, trying to quieten my mind, the upper branch is difficult. But trying to take a deep breath 5, 6 times, depending on how agitated the mind is, the mind will become quiet. So he says they both are nothing but branch of the same Shakti. And to quieten the mind, breathing helps, but understand that it will not last forever. Right? So then he says, beautiful sloka here, Laya Vinashane, Ubayarodhane.
Laya Vinashane, Ubayarodhane.
Laya Gatam Punar Bhavati Nomrutam.
Laya Gatam Punar Bhavati Nomrutam.
Laya Vinashane Ubayarodhane. Laya Gatam Ubayarodhane. Laya Gatam Punar Bhavati Nomrutam. Laya Gatam
Punar Bhavati Nomrutam.
So Bhagavan says 2 kinds of quietening of mind happens. One is called laya, absorption, which happens when I take deep breath, etc. Mind becomes absorbed and it is called laya. Laya meaning temporary quietening. Again it comes back. And ubhaya rodhane, laya and vinash. The second one is vinash. But let us focus first on laya. 2 kinds of laya. Every night when you and I go to bed and when we lull into deep sleep, we slip into sleep. Please understand. SLIP into SLEEP. Right? We sleep. In other words, it is not a purusha prayatna. Right? All we do is lie down. And you start thinking of whatever is going on. And before you know it, you slip into sleep, meaning sattva is gone, rajas, the dynamism is gone, and tamas takes over. Right? Tamas meaning dullness takes over, and next thing I know is what? I'm right? And this is everybody's experience. But this is absorption due to tamas, not purusha prayatna, not by my effort, but it naturally happens. You slip into sleep. But when I consciously breathe, Vayu Rodhanat, I am quietening the mind. It is Purusha Prayatna. Tamas is not there, because if tamas is there, there is dullness. Even Rajas is at bare minimum. There is no other thing except breathing. And by breathing later on, that also quiets down. And what I am creating is temporary sattva. Please understand. Laya is there, but in one, sattva predominates with some rajas. In other, tamas alone. In deep sleep, it is tamas. So this is far better, though we all need deep sleep, etc. So when he says here, laya vinashane ubhaya rodhane, 2 types of destruction of the mind. Laya, absorption, where sattva is created. And vinash, meaning destruction of the ignorance. Not destruction of the mind, but destruction of the mind's ignorance. As we saw, but again quickly, mind has 2 aspects, objective and subjective. Objective is, you all are seeing me, I am seeing you. This will remain even when vinasa takes place. Vinasa meaning total destruction. Laya vinasane ubhaya rodhane. By both, mind will become quiet. Right? Ubhaya rodhane. But what is he saying? Laya gatam punaha bhavati. You go to sleep, tamas, but you come back, the mind will come back. You take deep breath few times, you come back, mind comes back, problems will come back. This is called laya gatam punaha bhavati. But then he says what? Bhavati na mrutam. Meaning the mind that has died, vinasha, destruction, that will not come back. So naturally, it is not the mind that dies. Right? Otherwise, nobody will want to do it. So my objective mind continues functioning. But as we saw, Jnana Sakti and Ichha Shakti, right? Once I realize that I'm spending too much money on my car with gas, and the electric cars are, not that expensive to maintain, but the prices have gone up. So typical Banya will put Excel spreadsheet, this, etc. After 4 years, right now I'm paying this much more, etc. Where do I stand? And then he concludes, let us wait 2 years. See, that is so good. Remember, Bhim had gone. Remember what Bhim did? Somebody had come for some alms to Yudhishthir, and Yudhishthir said, come back in the evening or something. Bhim took a big, those as thali and a danka, and he went around. My brother has conquered death. My brother has conquered death. And Yudhishthir says, Bhim, what happened? He says, you told that guy that come back in the evening or come back tomorrow. Meaning, you know you will be here tomorrow. You have conquered death for next 24 hours. But you and I, the Banya, not 24 hours. 2 years. Anyway, so he says, Layagatam punah bhavati no mrutam. So the mind that has been destroyed, that I want this, I will be happy, and this is explained in detail in verse 21, but he comes to know that when my desire is fulfilled, right? Jnana Sakti, I come to know something. Now I have a desire. Once a desire comes, I want to fulfill. Vasana, desire, causing agitation, mind is upset. Remember, the whole objective is what? To make my mind quiet. And as we have seen many, many times, when the mind and intellect is quiet, the ananda, the source of joy within me, floods my mind and I experience happiness. Thus, the ignorance dies, meaning what? Individual comes to appreciate this fact that happiness is not in Tesla or anything that I want to marry that woman or I want to, go to Hawaii and all. None of them is happiness. But when my desire is fulfilled, mind and intellect becomes quiet. Happiness is within me. Now, once a person understands and he is dhrada nischaya, please understand. Otherwise, you will say, I've been hearing this for 20 years here. But you are only listening to it. The one who has firmly understood, now what will happen? His ignorance is gone. Not that he will not have a desire, but he will be happy independent of fulfillment of desire. Right? Now, how does this happen? He says, Bhavati no mrutam. And this is where some confusion is about Anatmani Atma Buddhi and Jagati Satya Buddhi. Right? When I take myself to be what I am not, Anatmani Atma Buddhi. Right? I am not something, I see the pratibimb in the mirror, that is not me, but if I take myself to be that, okay, and my mirror has a little black spot, right where my cheek is reflecting. And I start taking this, look, Darshan, we need to do something, I need to see a doctor and all these things. That is called Anatmani Atma Buddhi. Taking myself to be body, because it is my body, I am not the body. It is called Anatmani, Anatma, that which is not me, taking myself to be me. Many, between 1995 and 2007, several of us from Chinmaya Mission, we went to Yatra, right? Many of you have come with me. And in one of those Yatras, we decided, we came back early because we couldn't go everywhere because of the slide, etc. And the tour guide suggested, those of you who want to go to this tiger sanctuary, what is it, Corbett National Park? Corbett National Park. So I volunteered, and 2 others also volunteered. And we said, let us go to Corbett National Park. And we went there at night, and they tell you what to do. Next morning, you get up early in the morning, and they said, get in the den, and when you are in the jeep, do not make any sound, etc. So when the tiger is coming, etc., you can see. And it was so pleasant and beautiful, and the birds were chirping. So I, who very rarely use my phone, not using the word iPhone, Jatinbhai, When my phone, I hardly take picture or practically never take a video, but I thought, look, that's nice note here. Let her see how beautiful this is, So I took out my phone and started taking the video, but not very experienced in it. The jeep was moving slightly, and of course it is not a paved road, so there was a little jerk, and I dropped my iPhone. Oh, I dropped my phone. He's a Samsung guy, Android guy. Anyway, I dropped my phone, and I thought the jeep driver saw me that I dropped, and I just, it was stopped there, so I got off from the back to pick up, but he didn't know, and I thought he knew, and he started driving. And he has said that don't make any sound because you attract the animals and they can jump on you, so I can't. So I'm going, nothing, he goes. So at least I picked up my phone, and I said, now let me be quiet because the next jeep should come in another few minutes. So I was hoping that jeep would come, or maybe they will realize and they will come back. And at that time, there was a little sound from where I was standing behind something. So I turned around, and there is the Bhagwan fulfilled the promise. I had come to see the tigers. And there is a fully grown 700, 600 pound tiger looking at me within a feet of me. I am looking at him. And then I remembered, now I can do nothing. Whatever is to be done by the tiger. Right? Because there is nothing I can do. All I can do is, hey Krishna, save me. And the next thing I hear is he closes his eyes, the tiger, and he starts chanting, Om Brahma, Padam Brahmavi, Brahmagno. And I said, my God, he knows that the prey is in front of him, and he's praying to Bhagwan that thank you for this nice meal on 2 legs. And just he was comparing, Brahma Karma Samadhina. And I, who never run, I never jog, I started running, and I fell down from my bed in Sugarland and fell down on the floor. And I woke up. Normally, if I fall down, I would feel bad, but I felt so good that the tiger is not there. Now tell me, Anatmani Atma Buddhi and Jagati Satya Buddhi. Anatmani Atma Buddhi is what? Anatmani. In that dream, the Gaurang who was there, whose telephone fell down, the jeep left, all this, is that Gaurang me? But I took itself to be what? Me. That which I am not, and I take it to be me, is called Anatmani Atma Buddhi. Anatmani, that which I am not, I take myself to be that, Anatmani Atma Buddhi. Now, was the tiger real? Was the jeep real? That was my Jagat, right? The 2 fellows from the Yatra, the driver, the Corbett National Park, the tiger. That entire Jagat was real. Jagati Satya Buddhi. To take the Jagat to be real and to take myself to be what I am not. Once that ignorance is removed, the second I fell down and woke up, what happened? That entire Jagat disappeared. And Anatmani Atma Buddhi also disappeared. Meaning what? A paradigm shift happens in my understanding. My ignorance about the tiger, Corbett National Park, and myself is gone. And what? Hey, I am this person in my bedroom. The second I realize that, what happens? Is the mind agitated, uncomfortable, or quiet and happy? Oh, you guys don't know? Quiet and happy, right? Now, when Bhagavan says here, Layagatam Punarbhavati, when I breathe in and quieten the mind, when the mind becomes quiet, the ignorance about me is not gone. My desires, my agitations, my irsha, my jealousy, all those still remain. But when the ignorance about me goes away, ignorance about me meaning Now let us look at it slightly different. Earlier we looked at it, my body, meaning it is different than me. My mind, right? The other thing also, we all know it, but for the benefit of those who have asked questions, the very sharir, when I am born from my mother's womb, the entire physical body we saw last time is Annamaya Kosha. Right? The entire body, 7 pounds or 6 pounds of physical body is what? Made up of food eaten by my mother. And from that day till today, right? I am 180 pounds. Every ounce of this body is what? Food eaten by me minus rejected. The delta is 180 pounds. What is that? Product of food. Right? That is called Annamaya Kosha. Like the sword and the sheath. Right? The sword is the real thing. The sheath is not the sword. Similarly, this is a sheath, Annamaya Kosha. Let us drop Pranamaya Kosha. Pranamaya is breathing. The breath, air, I am not, it is very obvious. Then Manomaya Kosha. Mind and intellect is really nothing but one. It is Antakaran. But Manomaya, when I am not very sure, and when I do a Nischay, when I decide, it is called intellect. So Vijnanamaya Kosha. These both are also product of food alone, but subtle, Sukshma. Again, I am aware of it and made up of food. There are 2 sheets which I am not. And the impression in this thing is called Vasana, another sheet. That also I am not. Remember, the sword is independent of the sheath, in which the Myan. Similarly, who am I? I am the Atma, because I am conscious, I am Chaitanya. And I take myself to be what? Sarir. Anatmani. Atma Buddhi. I, the Atma, takes myself to be the Sharir, take myself to be the Man and Buddhi. This is called Anatmani, Atma Buddhi. And then I take everything bound by time and space, the entire world around me also what? As real. And how it is unreal, we'll see as we progress. So I take that. So that which is not real, what is unreal meaning? That which is continuously changing. Right? Simply in our language, I think this will give me nothing but happiness. Right? When you bought your house the first time, right? Or when you bought a new car, and then when you went to Randall or Costco, etc., normally you look for the nearest parking. But the brand new car, right? Now what happens? Suddenly you remember, even though I walk 3.5 miles in the morning, another furlong will not hurt. You park as far as possible. So there is enough room on both sides. And normally you, the law-abiding person, park with the white line in the center of your car. So both sides, nobody, even if they open the door, it would touch. Right? It's only temporary. Please understand. But anyway, don't worry about it. We come to realize how long will this be, right? First 2,000 miles, first 5,000 miles, then whether you know it or not, somebody will bang you, something will happen, and then we start parking it normally, going around 3 times to get the nearest parking, isn't it? Meaning what? Whether you married that girl or boy against everybody's wishes that I want to marry because I'll be happy ever after, or you thought you will be happy ever after, that is only in the Varta, right? Stories. Then he got married to her and they lived happily ever after. Right? An intelligent person understands that happiness, please, nothing wrong with marriage, nothing wrong with a car, but life is continuous change. Jagati Satya Buddhi is where the problem is. Jagat goes on changing. Remember, a person in Ethiopia, Africa or Europe is not going to make me miserable. Who will make me miserable? My wife, my children, my brother, my family at Chinmaya Mission. I tell them to come here and listen live. No, but why should I listen? See, in other words, only Jnana, people we know alone make us unhappy. And who gives us most love? Our wife, our husband, our children. Right? Once a person understands, this is very, very important to understand, because some of us misunderstand that Vedanta meaning nearest, nothing, there is no joy in the world, etc. That is furthest from the truth. Those of you, I'm not using any other Swamis because my Guru is Chinmayananji. Okay? Have you ever seen him sad? Those of you who have met, right? Even when he could not breathe properly, always laughing and smiling. Whether it's Vivekananda, Raman Maharshi was quiet but not sad. Please understand. Meaning what? They did not run away from the world. Vedanta is not saying do not turn on television, do not go to a restaurant, do not have friends, do not love your children. But understand that the same little girl who is speaking so softly at 4 years and you are saying how sweet she is, how sweet she is, when she is 14 and tells, Mom, you don't understand and I'm going to do it this way, that is part of life. Not that the girl is bad. It is just what you did to your mother is coming back in another package. See, this is life. So once you accept it, it is not that marriage is bad. So the one whose ignorance is gone, he lives in the world with full vigor. He doesn't run away. But he has no misunderstanding. In other words, the, when you cook, the cooking range, right? Electric cooking range, right? You know it is the Agni in which you put the pot and water and you put rice, it will get cooked. But if I put my finger on the Agni, it will burn. But that doesn't mean fire is bad. I have to learn art of contacting the fire by putting a vessel, water, and then put the rice and never put my finger on it, isn't it? In the same way, a person who becomes spiritual in true sense, he doesn't run away from the world. Movie, I cannot see. This, I am spiritual, I cannot do this. None of that. But at all times, what does he know? Whether my desire is fulfilled or not, whether I get it or not, I am that. But how do I get that? Bhagavan says, how do I remove this Anatmani Atma Buddhi and Jagati Satya Buddhi? How do I remove it so the paradigm shift happens?
Pranabandhanat linamanasam Pranabandhanat linamanasam Ekachintanat nashametyadaha Ekachintanat nashametyadaha Pranabandhanat linamanasam Ekachintanat nashametyadaha
Ekachintanat nashametyadaha. So first line is very simple, we have seen it. Pranabandhanat, he is just replacing Vayu Rodhanat to Pranabandhanat. Lina Manasam, mind gets absorbed when we take deep breath few times and divert our attention. But if I want to destroy this ignorance that I am the body, mind and intellect and the Jagat is real and this is where I'll get happiness, he says, Eka Chintanat Nasam Eti Adaha. This will get destroyed by Eka Chintanat. Meaning what? One is, everything else is apparent. Right? I am, let's say you go into a mirror. Remember when we were children, there were during the Mela time, sometimes they would have this place where there are a lot of different mirrors, and some mirrors will be in such a manner that you go there and you look so slim and stretched. And in another one, our stomach in those days looked like what it is now. It looks like this. So and there are mirrors all around, and you look all these things. Right? But all that is what? If you see that, you know it, so you laugh. But if a dog comes into a mirrored hall and he sees so many different dogs, what will he do? He barks. He jumps at one. All the dogs jump at him, and he is in a fighting mood. He takes it all to be real. While you laugh because you say, look, all these things. Why? Ekachintanat nashametyada. All other pratibimb, reflections, they are there but destroyed. Why? Ekachintanat. Hey, look, we even tell somebody, hey, come, look at me, how am I? Because ekachintanat nashametyada. One is, all else are apparent. Now how? Please pay attention, because this was also a little difficult for some individuals to understand. Atma, see, our problem is, please don't forget, our problem is what? Mind with lot of vichar, thoughts, right? Stressful thought, ye nahi hota hai, ye nahi hota hai, and I'm upset with it. I want it my way. Now the mind meaning flow of thoughts. Thoughts are really not different from, thoughts meaning mind is not different from Atma. Please understand. I'll give the same example. Snake and the rope. If there is a rope here and a snake here, they are two independent things. But where the rope is and I see a snake there, are there two things or one? There is only one. Right? As long as I see the snake, I will not see the rope. And the second I cognize the rope as a rope, I will not see the snake. Right? So, are there two or one? Hey, rope alone is, snake is not there. Right? So, with respect to my Atma, right, and the thought, now come back, let's see. I want something, or like a typical, your boss asks you for a review, right? And he is reviewing you, etc. And he says, look, everything is good, etc. But I must tell you, John, very honestly, I'm not very happy with your performance. We are going to keep you, but this time there will be no raise. Right? And your buddy just told you that he got 7% raise. Right? Now what happens? Raging mad, I walk out, right? So now what am I? Happy or angry? I am angry, right? Then, for whatever reason, my boss gets a call from somebody, etc., a customer who calls. And he says, look, we have decided to give this job to your company. But I want this guy alone to come to our site when the construction is going on and supervise everything, because there is no individual better than him. I don't want these other guys. And he specifically gives the name of the guy who got 7% raise. He says, I don't want that guy. He's arrogant, but I want this guy. Now the boss is thinking again, you know. And he calls you back. And he says, look, now he has to save himself. So he says, look, when you went back, I saw your face. And I tell you what, we have got X number of dollars in the department yet, you know, blah, blah, for what. And he says, yes, I will give you this much raise. Now you walk out what? Happy. Isn't it? The thought is happy, now I'm happy. Now, are you happy or unhappy? When the thought is unhappy, thought is angry, I'm angry. When the anger is gone, I'm happy. Now, if I'm angry, remember, Atma plus thought, I told you earlier, they are not, rope and snake are not two different things. I take myself to be the thought, I am angry. Now, when the anger thought goes, am I there or not? I am very much there. Once you understand, I am very much there, meaning what? Another thought has come, what? Hey, now I am really happy. Right? How long will it last? Until you find out the next guy also got 7% and you only got 5%. See, in other words, what happens? My mind during daytime goes through love, sympathy, joy, hatred, anger, and every time I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm joyful. Hey, all these come and go. It is like the rope that is there. One person sees it as a garland, another one sees it as a streak of water, another sees it as a bhuchidra, a little crack in the earth, one sees it as a snake. But what is real is what? Rope alone is real. All other things are projection. So if Atma and the thought, when I take myself to be the thought, of course, whatever the thought is, happy, unhappy, I will be there. But when I know that I am the Atma, and the thought rises from me, exists in me, and it goes away. It is apparent like the wave that rises in the ocean. It exists and it goes away. Hey, wave is nothing but ocean. Thoughts are nothing but Atma. How? The pot and the clay. Clay does not become the pot. Clay in a different form is called the pot. Please understand. Clay remains clay. Whether pot is there, clay is, pot is not, clay is. Thought is, I am. Thought is not, I am. There is no change in clay at all. In the same way, there is no change in me, Atma. But ignorance is what? As long as man ka naas nahi hua. Remember, the ignorance is not gone, then what will happen? I will take myself to be the very thought. When the ignorance is there, there is a snake and not the rope. Everything will happen. We need to bring the flashlight and see. Fear will be gone. So once I come to understand I am Atma, what happens to you and we understand it, but it doesn't stick. Right? Meaning what? I have to think of it again and again. Almost, not almost, but kind of like at the age of 27, until then he was smoking liberally. Now he got married. Right? And every woman, for whatever reason, right, just like Anatmani Atma Buddhi, they think I will change my husband. Once I get married, I'm in love with him, I know I will change him. It never happens. They can try either both ways, okay? But men know it, women think they will change. That is the only difference. Men know you cannot change, So, anyway. So he goes on smoking. Now, how many times does he hear that smoking is bad? Right? But after 17 years, right, when the first attack comes, etc., and his daughter comes and says, Daddy, do you not want to attend my wedding? Please, Papa, give up smoking. Now something happens to him and he drops smoking. Similarly, you and I hear it again and again, but Maya is so powerful. We never sit down and think. We only say, Chinmaya energy, I tell you, such a great orator. Tejomaya energy, so crystal clear, all these things. But how about you? I think in this life, I will just praise their ability. And next life, what they are saying, I will try to put it in practice. So now Bhagavan says, Eka Chintanat. So when you focus on this one alone, Atma, and not on changing thoughts, Eka Chintanat Nasametyada. Now he praises the individual.
Nashtamanasot Krishta Yoginaha Nashtamanasot Krishta Yoginaha Krityamasti kim swasthitam yataha Krityamasti kim swasthitim yataha
Nashtamanasot
Krishta Yoginaha Krityamasti kim swasthitim yataha.
There is an error in the book. It shouldn't be Nashtamanasa Utkrusta. It should be Nashtamanasot Krusta Yoginaha.
Nashtamanasot Krishta Yoginaha
Krutyamasti kim swasthitim yataha.
Krityamasti kim swasthitim yataha.
So now Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, Nastamanasaha, the one who has destroyed this ignorance. In other words, he knows who I am. I am not the thoughts, I am not the sarira, I am not the thoughts. I am the one who illumine the thoughts. They rise from me. And again they subside me like waves. Waves can never hurt the water or the ocean. The thoughts can never hurt me. I am none other than Atma. That individual who has destroyed this subjective mind meaning the thoughts, no matter what the thoughts are, he is independent of the thoughts. He does not dance according to the quality of the thought, for happy, unhappy. He says such an individual, Nastamanasaha Utkrusta Yoginaha. He is the very best among yogis. Meaning what? When Raman Maharshi says, remember, he is called Bhagwan Raman Maharshi. He has no likes and dislikes. He says all other kind of yogis are not utkrusta, then what is it? Nikrusta. Why? Because as long as the perceiver, feeler, thinker is there, I am the body, I am the mind, and I am the intellect. When there is ego, what will happen? Ego plus power and a corrupt mind. I am this. Would they give happiness to the world, or they will think of Putin, Hitler? Right? Nothing. Ego, power. What do they create? An evil mind. Such individual. So there are yogis also, right? They have laya, power of laya. Remember earlier I said, when you induce purusartha, mind becomes so still and you get occult powers. With this power, if my ahankar is not destroyed, because nasta manasa, I'm not the atma, I have these powers. And when this power is there and the person is terrible, wicked-minded, what will he do? He will create havoc in the society. So such yogis are also bad. And others who are only at the other level, just pranayam, this, that, it's not that they are bad. Remember, they may not be terrible, but they are not utkrusta, because unless and until my ahankar vritti, this is also a thought, I am not this, is not gone, all other type of spiritual sadhana person are not utkrusta yogi. Please understand. I am not here, so why you are categorizing? I am not saying it, Bhagwan is saying it. Do I agree? Yes, I do. Because it is a fact. So he says, Nastamanaso utkrusta yogina krutyamasti kim swasthiti yata. He says, krutyamasti kim. Bhagwan also says in Gita, right? Tasya karyam na vidyate. Hey Arjun, he has no karya, meaning he has no kartavya karma left. Right? Think of it. When the tiger started chanting Brahma Arpanam Brahma Vi Brahma Agnav, and when I fell down from the bed and when I woke up, did I have any responsibility towards a tiger or towards that jeep guy that you ran away and I'm going to sue you? Yeah, I'm come from America, so suing is the only way, right? Is there anything like that? What happens? I have no responsibility towards the entire Corbett National Park, the management, the tiger and everything. There is no responsibility. I am not it, it is not real. In the same way, the individual who has destroyed this has no responsibility towards the world. Does that mean he will not do anything? All we have to do is look at the examples. Right? The Tapovan Maharaj, seated up in Gangotri and Uttarkasi, did he not teach? Raman Maharshi, right? You look at his life. He used to, it is said, Began, this is in his life story, people who have written about him. We generally, Gujarati, we call it dichku, or that thing that is at the top, you remove it, and then you cut and make. Raman Maharshi would collect all that. And he would boil it for whatever, and he would make a sabji out of it, and people used to love it. He was a man very quiet. Very rarely he spoke, and whenever he spoke, of course, he would always take you, just think of who am I. Whatever you ask, he would say, who is asking this? And then you lead you, who? And he says, that is you, the Atma. Bhagwan Sankaracharya, Adi Sankaracharya, right? Hope you accept that he was also an established, realized person. Krutyamasthi kim, did he sit down? What happens? He doesn't look upon himself as a sannyasi that I have to save the Hinduism, etc. Bhagwan functions through their mind and gives them idea, you do this. And they take upon it as Bhagwan's command and they do it. Not that I, Sankaracharya, is doing it. All the way from Badrinath to Kanyakumari, in the south, then east, and in Gujarat, in Dwarka, he established the mutt and all that. Think of it. Personal example with Swami Chinmayanji. When Dinkar and others have found this land here, and I told Swamiji, and I took everything to Mumbai when Swamiji was there, and I showed it to him. And I thought Swamiji will be so happy now, I will have a center in Houston, etc. Yeah, if it looks good to all of you, and if you can raise money, that is okay. And I will see how I can help you. But no anxiety that, we will have an ashram in Houston, etc. If all the people want it there, by all means go ahead and do it. If you and I, right, even when recently one of my cousins, his son bought a house in Manhattan or New York, it is as if he has bought a Taj Mahal. He just bought a home, and we put down this, etc. I'm just casually telling, but you know what he's saying. Right? What my son now is settled, bought a house. Houses in Manhattan is so expensive, and then I gave this much, and blah 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 blah, all these things. But Sant Mahatma, krutyamasti kim, swasthiti yataha. He is not lost, but totally present in this. With all this is apparent only. ये सब तमाशा होता रहता है. Whatever I can do, I will do, but I have nothing to gain. If he is married with children also, he will do all his duty, etc. But as I told you, he will not touch the range he uses. He knows that all these relationships are temporary only. Any one of us can go. Right? He loves them fully. But he all the time understands this. Akhandanand Saraswati gives a very beautiful example. He says the whole world is mithya. It is all based on manyata. You accept it, then it is real. If you don't accept it, right? He says, this we were just studying recently, it comes to my mind. He says, look, I have been telling you that you are Atma, and you don't accept it. I'm the body, they keep saying. But he says, for 1.5 hours, you don't understand anything. And the pujari chants all the mantra. And at the end, he takes you there on these 7 steps, put your thumb, and then he says, now I declare you man and woman, husband and wife. And you say, this is my wife. This is my wife. How? I don't know what he chanted for 1.5 hours. But he says, she is my wife. Until that, she was my fiancée. Right? And here he says, logically I am telling you, my body you cannot be. My mind you cannot be the mind. You are the consciousness Atma. Swamiji, is it real? Meaning what? Jo manna hai, wo mante hai. Yeah, what I want to accept, I will accept. What I don't want to accept, I don't want to. So Bhagavan says, such a yogi is the Utkrush, he is the best among us. He has no responsibility. That does not mean he will be lazy. He will what? Then says, Drashyavaritam chittamatmanah.
Drashyavaritam chittamatmanah.
Chitvadarshanam tattvadarshanam.
Chitvadarshanam tattvadarshanam.
Drashyavaritam chittamatmanah.
Drashyavaritam chittamatmanah.
Chitvadarshanam tattvadarshanam.
Chitvadarshanam tattvadarshanam.
Together. Drashyavaritam
chittamatmanah. Chitvadarshanam tattvadarshanam.
Drashyavaritam. Right? In the AMC theater, before Kashmir starts, but the name is Kashmir only, right? That movie? Before Kashmir starts, you are seated there, and no advertisement has also started. What is there? Just the screen. Then few advertisement and all that, and Kashmir starts. That is called Drashya. You get so involved in it, and then everything ends. Now what is there? Again the screen, blank screen, nothing there. Drashya varitam. Before it was there, now the drashya is gone. What remains is what? The screen alone remains. Bhagavan says, drashya varitam chittam atmanah. From your mind, the drashya meaning the world comes to my mind in terms of thoughts. When the drashya is gone, the corresponding thoughts are gone, then what remains is what? Chitva-darshanam, tattva-darshanam. What remains is you, the Atma consciousness alone. Okay? But we'll see this in detail next time. It is already 11, almost 11:15. Okay? I hope repeating this is clearer, so no more, there were questions about last Sunday's pravachan. Om Sarve Bhavantu
Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhave Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
I do have a request for those who are watching on YouTube but could come. From next sloka onwards, not the one that currently Drashya Varitam, the entire topic changes and it is so beautiful. At the same time, it is not easy. It is difficult, but it is very beautiful. So if you can come, there are enough people, I'm not looking, but if you come, you will be the beneficiary. Okay? Hari Om.